What is up, everybody? This is Keith Jameson. Go back here, guy 231 across the DFS industry. Hope you all are well and did awesome last week. That was a fun slate, especially if you paid attention to late news, which I hope that all of our subscribers got, as I'm pulled over on the side of the road to seeing all these things pop up with Garrett Wilson ruled out late. I'm trying to remember a couple other things, but lineups at 11:15 looked entirely different from what they looked at 11:45. It was truly a great week. I think my cash line was somewhere in the 240s, which is wild. This slate, I will just say, doesn't have nearly as many huge games. We had multiple over 70 last week, so I think it was pretty easy to kind of hone in. You took Sam Howell, you took Chandler, you loaded up on these high total games. Not so much here. We have a few games over 60, but none of the games that are screaming shootout, in my opinion. I could be wrong. If you think Baylor, Oklahoma screaming shootout, then go for it. That's the only game I see. I'm like, okay, this could happen, but the whole screaming a little different. So anyhow, we're gonna jump right into it. Not gonna keep rambling too long. This is already too long of a ramble for me. So just a quick reminder: like, subscribe, comment. Really do appreciate all the support. Let's just jump right into some of my favorite targets, and we'll get out of here. I never like to try to keep you all more than 15 minutes. Get your information and go. That is how we roll things. So speaking of Oklahoma Baylor, one of the highest total games on the slate, hovering just shy of 70 on some books. Let me see if it's updated, actually, just as I am looking this morning. Let's quickly see. 63. Why did I think it was 69? 63. But that's still going to be one of our favorite totals. Now, I don't think that you're going to have the money to spend up for Caleb Williams. Even when you play Caleb Williams, I think there's just all this fear that if he doesn't do too well, that all of a sudden Rattler's going to come in. I don't think that's going to happen, but did great for Texas Tech last week. If you find the 10K, that's great. I don't think you're going to find it. I would almost rather just play CJ Stroud for the $600 discount. But all that said, I'm personally not finding that much salary in my lineups. I'm dropping down here into this 7K range. I think Dyke's okay, but I think Will Rogers is worth strongly noting. Look, this is the Mike Leach system. They're going to throw the ball a ton. It's not the cleanest matchup versus Auburn, total in the low 50s. But you got 48, 39, 57, 55, 59 pass attempts. So there's a built-in passing floor there with Will Rogers. Now, the only thing with Mike Leach is there are a lot of short passes, right? So, you look at all that. You have a lot of 400s in there, which is fantastic. Built in that 300-yard bonus. Just, you expect when you see that many passing attempts, more 500-yard pops. I guess just not in the SEC. But Will Rogers certainly in play at 7,400. I also like Jerry Bohannon at 7,200. Jerry Bohannon profiling is a little bit more of the guy I kind of like, with a little bit more rushing upside than Will Rogers. Not the crazy upside we want to see, but he is getting the end zone, 3 touchdowns on the ground in the last 5. We're not with Baylor. They like to run the ball more than pass. So Jerry Bohannon is not a guy that's getting us a ton of 300-yard bonus or anything like that, but just efficient in a good game. 7,200 is a really good price for quarterback exposure in that type of game. I think that you can also take a look at Payton Thorne from Michigan State. We think of Michigan State, I'm talking a lot about Kenneth Walker, but Michigan State's success has not just been the run game. It also has been through the air with Thorne, multiple 300-yard games this season. Good upside. What is that in the passing game? 7 TDs the last 5. I mean, it's not great, but look, here's the slate, right? Or we're trying to grasp at not great options. Brock Purdy, 6,800 versus Texas Tech. We just saw Williams in Oklahoma kill them. Maybe talking about Breece Hall, but Brock Purdy certainly in that option. Travis is being rolled in overnight. He gives you dual threat ability for FSU. I think the guy down here that's going to be popular punt in cash games is Sean Clifford. I'm actually just very surprised by the price, given the recent performance. He was super chalk last week, over 60% versus Maryland at 6,000, put up 28.32 DK, and he goes down in price. Luckily, this game is at home. Michigan is a good defense, but at the same time, we just saw Michigan and Michigan State get into a mini shootout that I certainly didn't see coming. So Sean Clifford at 5,800, I think it's just a price play. You know, it's not the cleanest matchup by any means, but Sean Clifford's a good quarterback. He does, again, even though you don't see him in the rushing, he does have the ability to run, just hasn't been doing it. So at least that upside's there. And look, it's 5,800. Final guy I just kind of want to mention down here. Let's see if there's any update on him this morning. So far, there is not. Just watch, but if Michael Penix is in at 4,700 at home versus Rutgers, yeah, I know this game total is under 50, but Michael Penix is too good of a player to be 4,700, and Indiana should just be flat out better than Rutgers. So 4,700, Michael Penix, yeah, just give it to me. I think that would be really popular. And hell, I'm not opposed, because I like the running back position so much more than QBs. I'm not opposed at a double punt quarterback and get up and get 3 stud running backs. Like, that sounds pretty good to me. Speaking of those stud running backs, Deuce Vaughn, the most expensive guy on the slate. I get it. He crushed Kansas last week. It's a little bit tougher versus West Virginia. I think I have him as, and actually just especially with the price considering, in a tier below the next 3 guys. Those next 3 guys, Breece Hall, for my money, one of the best running backs in the nation. Look, the one thing about Breece Hall that you know is if Iowa State is in the red zone, Breece Hall is going to get all the opportunities he can to get in the end zone, whether it's through the air or whether it's on the ground. You have 8 touchdowns in the last 5 games. Only game he didn't get over 100 was Oklahoma State, who's proving to be a stout run defense. Just ask Letty Brown in West Virginia that. But Breece Hall, especially in this matchup versus Texas Tech, has huge, 40 to 50 point upside. So I love Breece Hall. I don't love the price at 9,500, but I love the player. Kenneth Walker, to me, is a core play. Look, Michigan State, I just talked about it. You know, they've had a little more success in the air than we expected. But when it comes down to it, Kenneth Walker is going to be who they feed the rock to. A little bit colder weather versus Maryland, who is not a good defense. And Kenneth Walker is going to keep padding these potential Heisman stats. Henderson, he's a little bit of a letdown last week. He was a core play for me. Those 6 catches really bailed me out. Just give me a minute. But I love the fact that they're feeding him the rock. He's the clear number 1 in Columbus. And a matchup versus Purdue should be very, very profitable for him to keep cementing himself as that role. JAYLAN KNIGHTON, I think, to me is in the next tier. You have those 3, then you got Vaughn and like the Knighton types coming off a huge game versus Georgia Tech, 32 for 162, going to Doak Campbell at FSU. Look, he's been on a roll since getting this lead back role, 36, 28, 26, and 24 DK. Also gives you a little bit of passing upside. So like Knighton, just keep in mind when these previews, there's other guys to like. I just don't have all day to sit here. So I'm going to kind of go over my top picks. I think Marks is actually really interesting to pair with Will Rogers. Look, if Marks was just a wide receiver, right? Just a wide receiver. You can't see. I'm putting my hand over the running back, the carries. 9 for 27, 7 for 28, 6 for 39, 9, 7, 7, 4, 9, 6. You go, okay, this guy's, not like the best GPP wide receiver, but this is a nice floor. He's got like a 14, 15 DK floor catching the ball. Or I guess it's a little high, 10 to 12. And then now you give him 10, 12 carries, and it's pretty nice. So Marks is a decent pairing. He's one of the top wide receivers for Michigan State, despite playing out of the backfield. So I think he's certainly worth a look. Let's go down. See who else I got for you. I kind of, in my opinion, once you get through those guys, it's just a huge drop off. But there is one guy I want to mention, which is Dylan Johnson, who, much like Marks, is very, very involved in the passing game and is going to give you a little bit of touches out of the backfield. So 8, 11, 7, 7 touches in the last 4 out of the backfield to go with 5, 4, 5, 2, 6. Let's just keep going. 9, 7, 6, 3 catches. 3,900, right? 3,900 we're talking about. So if you have a wide receiver that's giving you 5, 4, 5, 2, and 6 in the last 5 weeks, you're probably going, lock and load, 3,900, I'll take it. Now you add another, on average, 8-9 touches, and you just go, wow, that's a great value. So I like Dillon Johnson quite a bit as well. Wide receiver, there's going to be the top level, and then I think if you don't go top, you drop all the way down, because there's certainly a plethora of guys under 5K. At the top, Dotson at 8,800. Love the player, just don't love it enough to spend 8,800 in this ball game. Same with Rambo at 8,000. I think is interesting, but just a little pricey. Garrett Wilson is back. So Smith, I'm never going to try to get his last name right. You know, he was great for me last weekend. That's where I ended up going. I was trying to get Chris Olive, couldn't get there. I'm like, okay, I'll just go here, you know, 15 for 240. But as the third wide receiver at 7,800, that's just too much. So I'm going to drop down. If you go 7,000, I think Garrett Wilson's really interesting play at 6,900. Chris Olive at 6,600 as well. If you want to be a little contrarian in the game, say Ohio State's up, you're going to play Henderson. We'll run it back with David Bell. I think that makes a ton of sense. Jayden Reed, I know Tendril Storm, my guy, is on him. Look, you don't have Naylor, so Jayden Reed's going to be the clear #1 wide receiver for Michigan State, and a plus matchup versus Maryland. I like that play quite a bit. Yeah, see, you carry this mid-tier and you're just like, okay, these guys are all fine, but nobody stands out. I like dropping, and so all of a sudden starting to go under 5,000 if I'm going from here, because again, I want to spend up for those clear, like 4 to 5 top running backs. I want to have this salary for it. So you're going to have to give it up somewhere. And I think that giving up at wide receiver could work. Reggie Roberson Jr., a guy, you know, back playing college football for years, you know, used to be an 8K player. He's definitely dropped down, but the big play upside is still there. UCF plays very fast. This is the one game that if Dylan Gabriel, I should have mentioned this to stop the top, but if Dylan Gabriel is in for UCF, this has a really good shot of being a shootout. So, you know, watch that news. But even so, there's some nice cheap options. Reggie Roberson Jr. at 4,800 definitely being one of those. You could also just run it back with Brandon Johnson if then Dylan Gabriel is there. Look, it's not like the cleanest catches, but touchdown in 4 straight games, 4,800 in a good game makes a little bit of sense. Let's see. Sorry, I didn't bring my little cheat sheet here of the guys I want, so I'm kind of having to see as I go through. Trey Mosley was a guy that was really useful for me last week with the news of Naylor being out. Only had 3 catches for 44 yards, but 2 of them were touchdowns. So he is the #2 for Michigan State in a plus matchup. Charlie KOLAR is a guy that I've just been playing a ton of recently. I think I've had 2 of those good games, probably have the 2 as well, but 5 for 72, 1 for 10, 6 for 69, one of the best tight ends in the country. He's 4,500 and a very plus matchup versus Texas Tech. I do like that quite a bit. RAKIM Jarrett, you know, we've been talking a lot about Michigan State being ahead, running Kenneth Walker. Are they going to throw the ball? But if you think that Michigan State goes ahead, then Maryland's going to be passing the ball. RAKIM Jarrett's their #1. Double digits in 4 of the last 5 games. You know, that always is nice when you're looking at 4,500. Trying, I'm sure I'm missing some people that I like, so apologies, but I'm gonna get you enough. Don't worry about that. This would not be me on a college football preview if I didn't bring up Mario Williams. I have to have played the more Mario Williams than all of college football DFS combined, but he just broke out last week, 5 for 100 and a touchdown, 24 DK. They love using this guy, super talented freshman. He's 4,000. It's a shot at upside. You know, realistically, he's going to get 4 or 5 targets, a few gadget plays. So I do like Mario Williams. And even normally, once we get to sub 4,000, it's over. But there's still a lot of good options under here. Never touch anybody versus Georgia. That's like rule #1 of effective DFS playing. Is just avoid Georgia, or at least the guys that are playing Georgia. No, there's a good Purdue guy down here. Payne Durham. Price is just way soft. He's going to get a lot of targets in a game that Purdue should be trailing. First, Wisconsin, really tough game. 9 for 112, 4 for 20, 5 for 15. A lot of low ADOT, but you know, this is sub 4K for 3,800 for a guy that has 36 catches. So that is hard to ignore. Williams makes a lot of sense as well. I know there was one more I wanted to bring up. Maybe. I'm probably not going to find it, but you can just see there's if you chill down here, there's some guys that you could target. It's not going to jump out at me, so I apologize. But I think that I do think that the last guy I really wanted to talk about was him from Purdue. Yeah, that'll do it. I'm grasping at straws here. You know, those aren't the guys that are going to win you a lineup. Those are the guys that are just going to plug them in to fit. So watch the Penix snooze. You know, otherwise, quarterback, I think looking at mid tier, it's going to be really hard to get up. Running back, where you want to use your salary. Wide receiver, I think I kind of showed you there's a lot in that mid to low tier that you could fill in your lineup and go from there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in more content, I'm going to be working on after this video my full player sheet. Wish I could have done that before the video, but I'm a father. It's almost 8 a.m. Kid's going to wake up at any moment. Can't record a video when there's a kid draped all over you, but you can plug in guys on an Excel sheet. So that is what my next tasks are. Again, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. It all really helps us continue to grow the channel. Almost at 3,000 subscribers. So thank you all. If you are a subscriber, thank you all so much for that. And with that, I'll say, soup.